My name is Dr. Servan Patel. I'm the managing partner of Compliant Clients, and you're listening or watching The Lean Line. I wanted to introduce our two guests today. First one is Mike Seeley, and the second one is Connor McDuffie of Spear Investigations. Hey guys, how you doing?
Hey, doing great.
Great, thank you for having us.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit, like, how did you guys come up with Spear Investigations for our listeners and our viewers? Like, what is Spear Investigations and what does it do in the field of personal injury?
Connor, you want to start us off?
Yeah. So I kind of found myself in the personal injury space, doing something somewhat similar, and worked at that company for a few years. And during that time, I met Mike going to different conferences, just running into each other, and we gained a fast friendship. And we kind of put our heads together, and we saw some room for improvement in the space. And so I stepped away from my previous employer, and we started Spear Investigations. And we like to say we're an investigative research group. So basically what that means is we partner with personal injury attorneys, and we help them track down former employees of their defendants. And then we help turn them into whistleblowers or insider witnesses. So that's the very nuts and bolts of it. From the most simplistic standpoint. Yeah, Mike, you got anything you want to add to that?
No, I think that, I think summed up pretty well. Connor and I have been friends for a while. It's been probably over 4 years now. We came together to have this company because we felt like there was an opportunity for another player in the field, and we felt we could bring some more value to the plaintiff cases out there. And that's what we've been doing for the past year and a half now.
That sounds great. So did either of you guys ever work with law enforcement or work in law enforcement?
No, we have an investigative team, kind of a third-party investigative team that we work closely with. They're all licensed private investigators, and they've really kind of tailored their practice specifically around harvesting these former employees. They are extremely efficient and extremely thorough at it. And so, yeah, as far as law enforcement background, I have a military background, but nothing that pertains to investigations or anything like that.
Okay. Well, thank you for your service, number one.
Yeah.
And so the next question I had for you is, like, when you're talking about this to a personal injury law firm that is unfamiliar with the concept of what Spear Investigations does or how it can benefit the case, what do you usually say to them?
Yeah, so essentially where we come in is we handle all types of personal injury cases, from simple slip and falls to truck driving cases or mass torts, really anything. Anything where insider information about how the inner workings of that company would be beneficial, whether that's corporate culture, what does the handbook say versus what actually happens on the job site or at work. That's where we come in. We come in and we gather those people that no longer are affiliated with that company. They have no ties. They may be disgruntled. They may not be disgruntled. But we come alongside them and we start a relationship with that former employee and the attorneys. And we try and break the ice and really get those former employees to work alongside the attorneys.
Got it. So that seems like a lot of work of what you guys are doing. So how hard is it for most attorneys or most law firms that you speak with to do this without a company like Spear Investigations? And like, if so, like, how hard is it? Like, did they ever convey that to you when you guys were talking with them?
That's a great question. Yeah. So me personally, I love being called by attorneys because that's our clientele. But I think the average American, anytime they get on the phone or answer a phone call and they say, "Hey, I'm John Smith, I'm an attorney at law," they immediately think that they're in trouble and they don't want to cooperate. They think they're going to get roped into, some long drawn out, legal battle, whatever it may be. So that's where we come in. We kind of bridge that gap, and we play to the fact that, people naturally, they want to educate. And that's how, when we get on the phone and we find these folks, we want to be educated on their time as an employee at ABC Corporation. And that is usually what gets the ball rolling, where they're willing to educate us on their time as an employee.
I was going to say, we kind of also operate outside of the normal discovery process. attorneys usually get a list of people. The defense will provide plaintiff attorney with a list of people that they can contact. Those people are usually coached. They're working for the company, so they keep their cards pretty close to their chest. The people that were former employees are the ones that you really want to talk to because they have the best information. They keep old manuals. They keep text messages. They keep screenshots of different conversations they may have had. So it can be a virtual treasure chest of information to the plaintiff attorneys.
Got it. So this kind of sounds like Aaron Brockovich finding plaintiffs, right? Is that like a fair comparison?
Yeah, that's pretty fair.
Okay. And then, so do you also work with, do the defendants work with you, or is it more of an adversarial approach? You're just working on the plaintiff side?
Yeah, strictly plaintiffs. We don't touch any defense.
I'm sure a lot of our viewers will appreciate that. So for my company, by the compliant clients, it's sort of similar in the sense that I had an aha moment, right? Similar to you guys, we're like, hey, you found a niche, an area where law firms could definitely use the help. It's not that they couldn't do it. It's more of just how time consuming it was to do the job, right? And so over at Compliant Clients, obviously, we were like, hey, attorneys go to 4 years of undergrad, 3 years of law school, only to have to deal with transportation logistics. Sure, they can do it, right? But there's probably just like that TV commercial, like there's got to be a better way, Kevin, or whatever that guy said. I don't know who his name was, but I remember seeing that video a lot. So I think you guys are sort of in the same line of thought, where we're trying to offer services that may be needed on specific cases where we're able to focus on time management, right? Or help the law firms focus on more effectively managing their time so they can essentially dedicate it more towards their clients achieving, justice when they're injured through no fault of their own, or just as important, they're able to spend and get that time back in their personal life to do whatever it is that they want to do with their family, with their friends, with themselves. So can you talk a little bit about how does your company help attorneys essentially like buy back their time?
Yeah. So, I mean, from the get-go,
I'd like
trying to track down former employees, and a lot of people don't even know where to start. And that's where our investigative team, that's where they really shine through, because they have been doing this and they know exactly where to look and how to look. So it's effective in that they're very good at what they do. And so they can get you a list of names. We're averaging anywhere from 25 to 30 names, depending on the size of the company, of confirmed former employees with confirmed contact information. And sure, that's great to have a list of names, but now you have to call every single one of those individuals. And that in and of itself is extremely time consuming. And so that's where we come in. We take that burden off of you, and essentially, from start to finish, you give us an ideal, hey, we would love to talk to a person that has this kind of information. We come back to you with people that we've already interviewed. We have a sample of that interview, exactly how they answered each question, how cooperative they were, and if they're even willing to talk to attorneys. And so we're basically separating wheat from chaff of the list of names that we originally give to you. And so it's really kind of turnkey from that point. Once we find out who knows what and who's cooperative, we deliver them to you on a silver platter. And that's where these attorneys can really connect with these individuals.
That's amazing. That definitely sounds like a huge time saver. So without prying too much into the inner workings of what is Spear Investigations, how are you guys personally and your team managing your own time? Locating people sounds really difficult. How have you, I guess, improved your efficiency since you guys, since your inception, actually?
Mike?
I think the time management aspect is something that we've we're developing that. We have a dedicated CRM system that we use to track our customers, and we're always growing that database. We attend legal conferences, locally and nationally to make our contacts and to grow our network of individuals. I mean, Connor and I both came into this business knowing people from coast to coast. Implementing that and getting that up to speed and turning that into a business has been a whole nother story. I would say that the time management is probably not a strength for Connor or for myself. So it's something that we've struggled with, but trying to make that into a strength, reaching back on the technology and using some of those tools, using some of the tools like on LinkedIn to place different types of ads, using the CRM for different types of contacts. That's where we're really trying to focus our efforts and make our weaknesses more of a strength, I guess.
That sounds great. Honestly, it sounds like a lot of other companies where, the main motto of your company is to essentially enable your client or your customer to offload some burdens onto you. But with what comes with that is, especially as you scale, is, hey, there's only so much of their burden you can take on before having to focus on efficiency and scaling it, because you have your own personal life, right? You have your own time management goals you want. You have your own responsibilities to yourself, your family, and various other areas of your life where it's only fair to focus on time management just as much as you're selling the ability for a law firm to manage their time. And so, pulling on that thread a little bit, what are some of the main questions that you think? Because again, this podcast and this video is predominantly viewed by personal injury law firms. I think this would be a great opportunity for you guys to just answer maybe the top 2 or 3 main questions that you get from law firms outside of what you already answered right now.
It's like you said, how are you finding these people? How are you getting these people to talk to you? And I kind of turn it around and make it a little more of a casual conversation. I tell everybody, hey, not everybody wants to talk to an attorney. I know you probably find that hard to believe. And everybody kind of chuckles a little bit. And we get our marching orders from the attorney. So we handle the contact how they want it handled. Sometimes the attorneys want us to use their name when we're reaching out to the former employees. Sometimes they want to keep that confidential. So however they want us to set it up, that's the way we take it. Sometimes they want the defense to find out, hey, the plaintiff attorney is looking for former employees. They want that to get back to the defense to possibly facilitate a settlement. So it just kind of depends on a case-by-case basis. But that's one we always get, is how are you finding these people? And that's kind of the secret sauce. You can't give all that information away because some of that stuff is proprietary.
Yeah. A lot of people think that we're just searching LinkedIn or we're doing some sort of skip tracing. I mean, sure, that's easy pickings. Anybody can do that. Anybody can go to LinkedIn and see where somebody was formerly employed, I guess. But you're not getting contact information. You're not getting real time information. And that's kind of where we shine, is we do these deep dives into these individuals where we're able to actually locate them. And then our interviewing team is actually able to get on the phone with them and really just have a casual conversation, do what we're doing right now, being able to converse and not interrogate somebody, just talk to somebody. And that's kind of where we shine. And that's the next question I think that we get a lot is, well, how do you get these people to talk? And that's usually it is, hey, we're calling based on education and we're just trying to start a relationship with you. And that's it.
Got it. I mean, that sounds like more of an art than a science, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Art of lowering someone's distrust, lowering the barrier of fear, a lot of different emotions they might be feeling, to get them to open up and talk about, their past experience with that employer. And so in doing so, do you think you guys could be doing this without the internet and new technology? Or do you think hey, the biggest driving force on your success is the fact that you guys have really nailed down the art of, talking with, these previous employees?
I think it's two-sided. I think without the internet, I think it would be significantly more time-consuming and difficult to actually get a list to begin with. Mm-hmm. But the other part goes to the actual interviewing. That is, like you said, that's the art, is making somebody comfortable and getting somebody to join your cause. I mean, that's really what it boils down to, is getting somebody to, you're either sympathizing with somebody that has gone through, something horrific in their life or experienced something horrific within the workplace, and really trying to identify with them, hey, we're an ally and we want to work with you on that.
Got it. So let's talk about hey, when it's not appropriate to use spear investigations, right? Because we can also talk about when it's not appropriate for like, you know, a law firm to use us for transportation or pharmacy. But like, in what cases would you want to tell an attorney, it's like, hey, it's probably not appropriate to use us, or hey, we're not a good fit for you because of X, Y, Z? Because a lot of companies, they like to just say, hey, use us for everything. And I'm like, well, it's kind of hard to really get behind that type of company or that type of ownership where, you know, they're selling snake oil, you know, snake oil over here. But so just as appropriate as it is to tell attorneys when to use a company like Spear Investigations, or even my company, Compliant Clients, I think it's really important to tell or inform or educate, you could say, personal injury law firms when it's not appropriate to use Spear Investigations for investigative services, when not to use Compliant Clients for transportation on lien or pharmacy services, because two reasons. One, it builds integrity, right? It's not like you're just trying to sell snake oil to cases and attorneys that never needed your services to begin with on all their cases. And number two, it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do to educate them, like, hey, when it's appropriate, when it's not appropriate, so they can make an informed decision. So I'll repeat the question again to you guys to answer. When do you think it would not be appropriate for a personal injury law firm to involve you in a case that may or may not need investigative services?
Okay, so Mike and I actually came up with a new product. It's called, we call it the First Look, and it's actually something that it's really just a looking glass into your case as a whole. We want to make sure that you know, that these investigations, that they're viable investigations to begin with. So what we do is we take a small budget and we examine that defendant. We look and cast a net and see how many individuals we think that we're actually going to be able to harvest. And that's the unfortunate part about our business, is we can't make somebody answer the phone. We can't make somebody give us, you know, awesome, rock solid answers. So we do work in the law of averages. And so from the get-go, we want to have as many people possible to call from the get-go. That's why, you know, sometimes we'll have 20, 30, 40 names on the list, but only 15 or 20 are willing to, you know, give us an actual interview. Some of us, you know, not everybody's going to answer the phone. Not everybody's going to give us an interview. And not everybody, if they do give us an interview, it may not be very good. So we do work with the law of averages. So we do want to do a first look, and that will really determine, hey, it's not worth it to throw a budget at this. And so that's really where we shine and where we stand out is we give you a big picture right from the rip.
Got it. So at Compliant Clients as well, like, we understand the difficulty that you may have in educating plaintiffs, right, as to the importance of maybe your phone call that you're having with them and what it really means for the case, or what it really means what you're trying to do. And for us, we understand the difficulty in educating plaintiffs on the importance of making doctor's appointments, especially maybe when it's 2 months later from the injury and they think they're getting all better, but maybe, you know, the reason why they're getting better is because they've been making their appointments. So tell us, how are you able to inspire people to like help themselves? And because again, you're not dealing with the people that are actually injured, you're dealing with people that are, you know, 2 or 3 degrees of separation away from the related incident. So again, asking that question again, how are you able to inspire people to help themselves and help these cases?
Yeah. Well, I think first of all, you know, it's important to say when we run the interviews are tailored to exactly how the client or the attorney wants us to approach them. And Mike kind of mentioned that earlier, where you know, there are times where we don't want to mention the law firm, we don't want to mention the case, we just want unbiased information about that defendant as possible. And then there are cases where the client, the attorney, wants us to do just that, which you just described, where when we call them, you know, we're telling them about the case itself. We're telling them about, you know, somebody that was, you know, struck by a drunk driver, or somebody that was struck by, you know, somebody texting and driving, and really pulling on those heartstrings of, you know, the client was a 35-year-old male, father of 2, you know, just really kind of explaining the case and laying out the severity of what this defendant did, or the negligence that's there. But then also it's our job to reassure these individuals that they're not in trouble. They're not getting pulled into a lawsuit. We're simply calling to be educated. We want to know what they know. And that's the bottom line. And we have people that want to get involved. We have people that worked at these companies for years and years and saw, accident after accident after accident, never had an opportunity to do anything about it. And those are really the great interviews, is giving these former employees a voice and an opportunity to help, the client, help the plaintiff in this case.
Got it. So it seems just like, compliant clients, Spear Investigations is seeming to be, you guys are ready for growth, right? And especially in tough times. So where do you see your company? Where would you like to see your company in 5 or 10 years?
I'd love to see us, being involved with any and all types of cases, whether that be mass torts, class actions, simple slip and falls, whatever it may be. I would love to tick every single box of being involved and being able to say, we can fit in every single type of case. As long as the numbers are there of former employees, being able to have an impact on a widespread amount of cases that are out there.
That's great. And so if any personal injury firm wants to get a hold of you guys, what's the best way for them to do that? You guys have a website or email you want to plug in here?
Yeah, we've got a website, spearinvestigations.com. And we can link, I don't know if we can link our emails or numbers down below, but we'd love to do that. The number I'll leave, you can call or text me anytime. And I know Mike's the same way.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to plug in myself here. It's not even really more about the company, but more what I'd like people to, if you're watching this, to learn about, like, what I would like to see in compliant clients in 5 and 10 years, or between 5 and 10 years. It's more of attorneys to know that you're not alone in time management. You're not alone in administrative burdens. Clearly Spear Investigations, you have your own administrative burdens. I have my own. And I think it's really cool to be branching out into different industries, because by trade, I'm a pharmacist, right? I don't know how many pharmacists are in the legal space. Probably not too many. But what I found, though, that no matter what sector you're in, we all kind of deal with the same problems. And a lot of problems take away from maybe, one of the main purposes of our life. And for a lot of us, the main purpose of our life is maybe not to work, right? It's work is a part of our life. Work isn't our whole life. And working with like-minded companies that understand that and respect that and want you to get back to focusing the things that you want to be focusing on, whether it's working on a case, the only things that you could be doing, taking your kid to a soccer game, sleeping in, whatever, right? You can't do it all alone. It's really imperative for us to just work together when appropriate, right? And just as you guys answered, like when it's not appropriate to use Spear Investigations, it's pretty straightforward. I'd like to think it's straightforward when you shouldn't use compliant clients. If you have a ride, if your friend can take you, if you can afford alternate transportation, there's no need for transportation on lien in most cases, right? It's just an unnecessary medical expense. If you can afford your medication at the pharmacy, don't use us, right? We're here for those patients and those clients that may be slipping through the cracks. And we're here for the law firms that, just don't want to deal with the administrative hassle of scheduling rides, dealing with missed appointments and things like that. Only when appropriate, right? At the end of the day, I think at first I thought my messaging in general at compliant clients would just be focusing on the phrase transportation on lien, right? The more I realized that, hey, I don't need to focus on that. Let me focus on human qualities that affect all of us, such as time management and being happier and more fulfilled at work and life. The more I found my reach was able to sit well with attorneys, with paralegals, with case managers. And I think what you guys are doing over at Spear Investigations fits along the same line, right? You're able to help these people focus on the areas that they're experts in. And you're able to take a lot of tasks, really time consuming tasks that they may not have the expertise necessary to do it, as well as a company that just focuses on that. So I definitely wanted to say, thank you, Mike. Thank you, Connor, for taking the time to join the Lien Line podcast so we can educate folks in the legal space on what a unique and innovative concept that Spear Investigations has to offer. And for those of you watching, we'll make sure to put their contact information, their website and their phone numbers in the email. So please be sure to check them out and see if they're a good fit for your law firm. This is Dr. Surm Patel with Compliant Clients signing off. Thanks for your time, guys.
Thank you.
For having me.
Thanks.